For this lesson, I will be teaching reading comprehension to an adult who will be playing the role of a 5-year-old child. The methods that I will demonstrate will be reciprocal teaching, instructional conversation, and recognizing cultural content.
Yep. Pig Boy. When he was born, he was a hairy little hog. His ears were pointy and his tail was curly. His back was bristly and his snout was dirty. Grandmother loved this dirty little boy. She wrapped him in soft leaves and sang him to sleep. You will be a little pig whose roots in the earth. You will be a hairy hog who sails the seas. You will be a tiny fish who swims in the ocean. You will be a wild boar who carves the mountains. You will be filled with magic. And her trouble comes, she whispered. Just slip away.
So what have you read so far?
We're reading about Pig Boy, and he is a small pig. It's kind of a dirty little critter, and he is he is the grandmother's favorite, and she likes to sing him songs that seem like he is going to have adventures. And then, if all else fails, he can just run away from it.
Okay, so we're reading about Pig Boy, who's a dirty animal, and is his grandmother's favorite, and she likes to sing him songs about him going on adventures, and if he gets in trouble, he can just slip away.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we will continue. When Pig Boy awoke, he was very hungry. He began to eat. As he ate, he began to burp. As he burped, he ate more and more and more. He had eaten all the roots in his grandmother's taro patch and was still hungry. Pig Boy ran into the king's gardens and stole the royal chickens.
So what do you think will happen now that he stole the royal chickens from the king's garden?
Well, if you look at the picture, the king looks pretty irritated. And I think that the Pig Boy is going to get in some sort of trouble. And that might be the end of the story. So we will continue. The king and his men chased after the greedy hog. They found him in the middle of the forest. Seize him, the king commanded. The large pig. Pig Boy squealed and became 100 little piglets. Then he slipped away.
Just like his grandmother sang to him in the song.
Yes, it's kind of like, but it's weird that she did not bring up that he was going to be a giant pig. But we'll see if any of her other stories come true as we progress. Pig Boy ran and ran until he came to the shore. He looked across the sea and saw Pele, the goddess of fire, perched on her smoking mountain. He hoped she would protect him from the king and his men. Pig Boy was rowing, Pig Boy was sailing, Pig Boy was flying over the waves, rushing toward Pele. But when Pele saw the dirty, hairy little hog, she shouted, "Swine, leave me alone." She shook the earth, she filled the sky with fire and smoke. Pig Boy squealed and jumped into the ocean. He became the pig-nosed fish called Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apawa. Then he slipped away. When Pig Boy leaped out of the water, the king was waiting. Dun, dun, dun. Pig Boy was caught. The king's men tied him to a pole and carried him away. Snort. He grew bigger and bigger and bigger until he burst free. Grunt. Pig Boy ripped a path up the mountain with his bristly back. The waters rushed down and washed away the king and his men. Then Pig Boy got small. He ran to grandmother. She wrapped him in soft leaves and sang him to sleep. Pig Boy is a dreamer. He dreams of roaming the islands and sailing the seas and swimming in the ocean and climbing the mountains. And if trouble comes, as it always does, he just slips away.
So did the first part of the grandmother's song come true?
Most of it, yes. Where he ripped up the mountain and then he was a fish.
So how would the story be different if it was written in a different culture?
So I think if you look, because Hawaiians are very indigenous people, if you look at another indigenous group like the Native Americans, the story could be different, as it could be a different animal, but instead of being in the ocean, he could be in rivers, or he could be instead of like running away from a king, it could be a different chief of a tribe, or things like that. And it does seem like this is a story that is kind of what Moana would be based off of. And that is kind of, I guess, would be a European take on Hawaiian story, or Disney.
During this lesson to teach reciprocal teaching, I asked the child what they had just read. That was them summarizing what they had just read, and I then clarified what they had just read back to them to keep their memory of what they had just read fresh. For instructional conversation, I asked them questions while they were reading, such as, what do you think will happen next? And did what the grandmother in the story say come true? To recognize cultural content, I asked them what or how the story would be different if it had been written for a different culture, and that's when they connected the story to the movie Moana.